What we're looking at here is one of the many metrics that Google uses to help rank your website. There are many things that Google looks at to determine what's credible about your website, what's credible about the content that you're posting, how authentic is it, how original is it. Google has ways of identifying many characteristics about anything that you post online. With that in mind, on the other side, Google's ideal situation and their product per se as a search engine is to serve up content relevant to what people are searching for, but not just any content. They want the most authoritative, popular, useful, recommended, etc. In other words, Google wants to give people what they're looking for, but not just anything. They want to give them the best possible thing they can, quote, think of with their mathematical system in which websites are displayed. So every time somebody searches for your dental practice, there's a mathematical operation that's happening when those search words are typed in and Google says, here's the best result. If someone searches Tampa, Florida dentist, for example, and the results show up, and you might be banging your head against the wall going, why is my dental practice always buried 3 pages down? I can never find it. Always remember there's over 200 metrics and factors involved in that process. So if you read somewhere, well, if you do this, if you do that, if you do this, your website will rank number 1. You have to really look at a much broader spectrum of things. These are things that can be on your website, and these are things that can be off your website, but connected to your website. It might sound a little confusing, but it's true. There's a lot of detail and data connected to that subject. I'm going to jump right into the purpose of this video, which is one specific area, again, of the many hundreds of different things that Google considers. And this is something to avoid. This is automatically generated content. Now, if you're a dental practice owner, sometimes your office is involved in writing the copywriting content for your website. Sometimes you hire a third-party company to do all of that for you. And sometimes the practice owner, you, the dentist, will write the content. But what you really want to be aware of is content that is automatically generated. For example, Google has a lot of ways that this can be interpreted, okay? What I'm showing you right now is the most common way that this happens is with search engine optimization services offered to dental practices. That's usually very cheap and gives the appearance that you get a lot of website content that's going to help your SEO. I'm not the first person to say this or the last person to ever say this, but when it seems too good to be true, or the price just seems too good for what you're going to get out of it, what's stated that you're going to receive, you've just got to put your foot on the brake, step back, and just ask yourself, does this really make sense? If this makes sense, why isn't everybody else doing it? And what would somebody say to me to get me to believe them if they just wanted the sale, if they just wanted the close? So the main point here is, if you're going to have content on your dental practice website, there's a very specific way to arrange it. There's a very specific way to write it. There's a very specific way to prepare it where you don't get violations for Google interpreting as generated content or content that's trying to manipulate Google. Meaning you're trying to write content for the Google search engine instead of writing content for your potential patient, your potential reader of that content. It is always most important to focus on the reader. That is your potential patient. That is your potential client that you're trying to generate. Focus on their needs. Focus on what they're going to be able to read, what they're going to be able to hear, what they want to hear. That's one out of many things you can do to begin the assistance process of your search engine optimization. This is a separate topic, off subject. I'm just going to mention it really quick. If you have already been penalized by Google for, bad SEO practices that you might not even be aware of, sometimes it can be very hard to recover and get your website back into strong rankings again. It could be hard to recover all the pages that you once had in Google. So there's a lot of things to consider, and you just have to look at it like any other product or service out there. You might not understand how to build an engine, but you know that when you take your car to a specific mechanic, that it always seems to run better and the problem's always fixed. Well, the same applies with your website work, your search engine optimization work. On the same note, Google is very specific about understanding that no one, and I say this with a whole and honest heart, being an SEO myself for dentists, I can never guarantee a specific rank, where you're going to be positioned in the Google search engine, but I can wholeheartedly and honestly say we take correct steps and measurements to help improve your current situation, and particularly your long-term situation within the Google search engine. And that's really the goal. You want a long-term, strong foothold in Google, building and building and building and fortifying that online presence. So eventually, being a dentist in your community, in your area, even if you're serving multiple towns in the area, you want to become very relevant and prominent in those search results. And that's not an overnight process. Jason Wydro here with Golden Dental Marketing. Thank you for hearing me out on this important message. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It's under my name, or you can just click one of the links below. Also, I'm going to be covering a lot of these other areas in Google to provide you more information and helpful tips on how you can make better decisions about your online marketing and investments. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.